Hello, everyone. Can you believe it's November 1st? I thought I would do a floss tube of all the things that I have been working on. And I have spent some time finishing some things for Halloween and fall decoration. So I thought I would start with one that I showed you last floss tube that I finished the stitch. Oh, there's the cat. But I have fully finished the little pillow. I have fallen in love with these little pillows. I've made a few when I was younger using little pincushion types of arrangements for needlepoint, and I fell in love with it. So look at all of the details in this. 4 pumpkins, 4 black hearts, surrounded by 4 spiders, and a tiny black cat. I Googled this for a long time to find a cute, tiny little Halloween pillow, and you could use it for a pincushion, but I like displaying these. I sewed a 3.5-inch square, which is roughly the size of the stitch. I added a tiny little border. I wanted only about it's really a 1-inch strip, and I stuffed it with polyester fiber fill. This is stitch closed. I liked this color, and then I used a ladder stitch, and I'm not ever going to probably use this for anything else but display, and I just think it looks great for the fall and for Halloween on my tiered tray. The other thing that I have been working on is a cute little free stitch by Wild Violet. I still have more vines to stitch around the mushroom. I'm using Zweigart, there we go, Zweigart as Cappuccino 14 Ada, and this is totally not called for floss. They used fancy flosses, and I wanted to just experiment with substituting my own colors from the little stash that I have. I'm using several different color greens. There's a bright orange pumpkin. I love the mushroom. I am totally into the mushroom. And what I like about this is it could be displayed more than just during the fall. It does have a fall vibe with the colors in the pumpkin, but really it could stay out all the way from September through Thanksgiving. This is probably going to be another little pillow, but I haven't 100% decided. So I used the leftovers from my first cross stitch, and on the other end, you can see I have my sunflower. So I just thought I'd leave that on there for now, and when I trim this down, then I'll have space, because I might want to do more sunflowers to make this into a pillow or even frame it. I like to fold it up. Stitch in hand has been my favorite thing so far, and using a little clover wonder clip, it holds my loose ends, and I don't have to mess about with it. So Wild Violet, she's a beautiful website as well as a Instagram page. This was part of Stitching the Rainbow. I started Stitchy Stars with Lori Holt made the pattern Stitchy Stars, and it's on Fat Quarter Shop, and I saw this on Kimberly Jolly's Flosstube, and she substituted, instead of a patriotic theme, all red, white, and blue, she substituted greens for blues. And I love this because each little star is fully covered with stitches and has a white background, which I like how it stands out from this same cappuccino scrap of Zweigart 14 Ada cloth. So as you can tell, I just made a little start, and I decided to go full out on the previous stitch. I'm left-handed, so I think I like it better to have this rolled up end, and I always stitch from left to right. So I'm making some progress on that. And the last thing I did is a fully finished object. I framed You're the Boss. I chose the brown and that it gives it a more rustic feel. I wrapped this on foam core. There's batting behind it. And then I wrapped another piece of foam board. I did not use sticky boards. I will never do that again. And I put it in the frame. I have to say that this was really much harder than I expected it to be. I don't know why. I don't know why I found it so hard, but I did. I will put a picture of this fully finished and displayed in my house. What can I say about this? This is Lori Holt's You're the Boss, and she did a free alphabet in the middle called I'm Just Saying, and I went with a saying that is very, very much my theme for this year. From A Silk and Sonder is a journal that I subscribe to, Breaking Up with Perfection. This is far from perfect, and this is my first fully finished object with cross stitch in decades. I have never framed. I've never tried anything like this before. And I have to say it was a challenge and I fully enjoyed it. So I chose red. Took me a couple days to decide. I have teal. Then I put back here, but I like how the red makes it all just pop. And I do have a tiny little piece of macrame cord on the end because, I'm not perfect. So there is my fully finished object. I will show a picture of it. I decided not to hang it on the wall, and I have it on a little easel that I use for displaying object on my grandmother's treadle machine. So I was very excited. Okay, that's all of the things that I have been doing for cross stitch. But I did do a few other things that I thought I would share with you. During the summer, Lori Holt in the Fat Quarter shop had a great granny square along. You could stitch, you could crochet, and you could sew a quilt, all made with granny squares. So I made a big mistake when I bought what I thought was floss online, and I bought pearl cotton. So I used up all the pearl cotton and made as many granny squares as I could. Then I have one left to do. I can show you what it looks like. And I used the pearl cotton, which came from Hobby Lobby, and it crocheted up pretty nice. I used a D size crochet hook, and this is the last. I need to make a partner for this one out of the different flosses I have left. And then I cut out a 3.5 or 4 inch pillow. I think this is about 4 inch, to be honest. And it's just enough that it stretches a wee bit. You marry 2 pieces, 2 granny squares. And on this one I used a solid color, which I would recommend. It's more solid. And then I just single crocheted, chain 1, single crocheted all the way around. What I like about this particular display is I had the orangey ones out first. Well, I think I want it to look more Thanksgiving. So I'm going to do this one, which is more brown. And I like this one. And I'm going to just change it up. The colors don't look the same always in the little tray I have. You can also put it in the back if you have one of those little pickups that can hold like Christmas bulbs or tiny pillows. So here is my little green tray. And this believe it or not, it took me a little while to crochet them together, sew the little pillows, stuff them, and then I did the same thing I did on that other pillow, which was, I'm going to put that here. I did a little ladder stitch to close it up. And there is my tray. Love, love, love displaying all of these tiny pillows. The next thing is I've been watching Fat Quarter Shop and their quilting types of things. And so I will end on that sew along. But to get my sewing back under control isn't a good word, going again, is I made these fun little pumpkins. Now this one, I didn't put a stem and I stuffed it to be flat on the top. And I made them out of scraps that I had. I had a brown toile and I had this black toile, and I really like it. I glued a little cinnamon stick up here after I sculpted the center and tufted it a pretty good amount. And what's super cool is these stack very nicely around some of my displays. So this can stay out not only for Halloween, but it can stay out because it has like these creepy birds on them. I'm going to keep this one out until Thanksgiving. And, you know, what I think is fun is that even mismatched, and they just sit. I could choose to finish this if I want, but I kind of want to play around with doing more of these in different sizes to stack them up as little totems. I got a little bonkers with these because I started doing it and I'm like, wow, I can still sew. I can decipher this pattern, which came from the Missouri Star idea book. They had an orange peel template. My friend had the book and she knew that I haven't been sewing much and I needed something to get going. So I cut up all of the fall and Halloween fabrics I had, and I made 9 of these in this size. And then she had a larger template, and I made a 10th one. Super fun. What's really fun is that, you know, you could use whatever you have on hand for the stems. If you want to use a drawer pull, if you want to use a stick. I had these old cinnamon sticks, and I cut them down and hot glued them in there. Then I put a dab of fabric glue just to try to give it some more strength. So at the end, I'll put another picture up of what these look like stacked, because they're actually by my Breaking Up with Perfection framed finished object. Wow, I decided to keep going with the Lori Holt. I'm late to the Lori Holt fan club. But I really like these design boards, and you can tell I had a one hot mess going on with gluing this binding on the board. So I'll show one that's better. I look at this side is much better. There's always one wonky edge, but these are great. I decided to make it flannel instead of batting because that's what my design board is made out of, and this is leftover from the design board I made. And so this will be great to actually put some of my projects on, to put quilt blocks on, to transport it from the cutting table to my sewing machine. And it grabs this really quite well. So this is the large size, which is 14 inches. And then I made 10 inches. I made a few 6 inches and I don't like them. So I'm not going to finish the 6-inch ones. Maybe one, because I like this bigger size. It's much more usable. And I'll save that. This is all the foam core in the middle, and both sides are usable. I'm going to save the foam core for other little projects in case I want to start framing more of the little cross stitch. I think after the wrapping and gluing and not having a sticky board, I don't like the glue and burning my fingers with the hot glue gun. I'm going to try using those little tiny confetti pins in the foam core. I'm going to try it on a small project. This is a very long strip, and my dream is to make this into a drum because I like sewing and I like fabric and I'm more comfortable with that. So, in case you didn't know, I'm just going to bring it up here. I'm having long COVID. I got COVID twice over the summer back to back, and I didn't have a real serious case, but the long COVID part has made stitching, reading patterns, doing something simple like gluing a binding on this a project and a half. So I decided I needed something for my rehabilitation of reading patterns and keeping my hands busy. And that's how I got back into cross stitch, including Fat Quarter Shop's Flosstubes. And these projects were so much fun. I decided to jump in on some of the stitch alongs that they've had going. So when Fat Quarter Shop announced that they're doing a free sew along, and they revealed the free, it's totally free. Everything about the patterns are free. They have 24 blocks coming out, and you can choose the size you want. It's called Socialites 2. This is the actual proposed quilt, and depending on what size blocks you choose, you can get a different size quilt. And this was a rough draft of the friendship stars were in the corners. Quilter is probably my number one craft that I do, even though I dabble and have done all of these other crafts I've shown you most of my life. But I am not a huge fan of friendship stars. And they're friendship stars here, here, and here, as well as the four corners. However, this particular star, an Ohio star, is my favorite block. And I thought, why don't we put Ohio stars in all of the corners? And instead of doing a friendship block here, which I don't like how it looked in the design, I'm going to keep this as a white background and make this anvil block in here. So this is my idea of how I'm going to modify the proposed design for Socialites 2. Now, what's super cool is each one of these little squares is what the sew-along is, and they're all done by different designers. And I can't tell you enough how much reading a pattern is really rehabilitation for the brain after you've had such a ridiculous thing happen to you, like getting COVID and having the COVID brain fog. So this is the first block. It was hard. This is not an easy block. This is not my best work, but I don't care. I'm putting this in the quilt just like it is. It's a pinwheel, which I find extremely hard to get them all to come together in the center. I'll have to say that I bought these great little tiny pins that are super ultra fine, which help. They also have silicone edges, so you can pin them and iron it in place if you want. And this is how they come. I got mine online, and you can get yours I got mine at haloinspiration.com, but I know you can get them at all kinds of other quilt shops, including your local quilt shop or Fat Quarter Shop. So that helped, but you can tell that it's not my most perfect work. I had trouble getting some of these seams to line up, as well as the pinwheel in the center. This tiny little unit is a real little stinker. And these are not supposed to be half square triangles. This is supposed to be a flower representing a flower with green leaves and a posy. It's called perennial. And I really, really like it. You can tell here it's a little teeny bit off. Decided done is better than perfect. A quote from Angela Walters that will stick to me for the rest of my life. I have to let go of perfection. Remember, quilting can kind of bring it out. This is going to be the center, remember, of those big stars. So I thought, 20/20 vision is the rule. If you can see my mistakes 20 feet going 20 miles an hour, it's fine. The second block, which really came together so much better than the first, is really a variation on an old block called Nosegay. Now, these were made simpler. So I've seen some people modify this into like a curved applique, a straight little piece to hold the flowers. I kept it as the pattern was written. I'm using 100% stash fabrics. I have a big stash and I want to bust it. I've inherited a lot of fabric from a couple of friends who've passed away over the years, and I'm honoring them by using up their fabric, and I'm also using it to rehabilitate my brain to remember how to read a pattern, how to make things come together, how to use pins, how to sew. I felt like I was starting all over with that first block. I made so many mistakes and I read the pattern wrong. So I decided 2 cups of coffee, 1 cup of the coffee, maybe 2. In the morning is better. I started that one early in the morning before work. This one, the points came together much better. I still have, and this one might get chopped, a good 1/4 inch on each side. And now I'm up to date. I have 2 blocks done, and the third one will come out this week. And I have to say, I hope I have enough of all of the background. If I don't, it's a sampler. Who cares? And it's just for me. I keep telling myself, I've done quilts and put them in shows before, and I have to keep saying, this is my rehab quilt. It's not going in a show. It's not going to be judged. And it's just for fun. That's what these hobbies I have are all about, is for fun. I have a full-time job that I've been going to, and I'm just really excited to be able to do any hobbies. So you can see here's the posy, perennial posy. Here's the nosegay, and thank goodness next week's is a wee bit easier. It's a little, it's basically an economy block with an Irish chain combo. Love it. This butterfly is going to be fun. So I've been excited looking at all the blocks because we know this is what it's going to look like. It's no mystery. So I can make good fabric choices. And at the bitter end is when I will decide on the layout. Because Kimberly is doing an alternate layout that hasn't been revealed. Some blocks she's making are 3 inches. Some are 6 and some are 9. And each one of these blocks are written for those patterns. I'm sticking with my favorite size, which is 6.5 inches. So lastly is I also long arm. And I decided to take a break from a couple of friends' quilts that I've been doing. And these are like the last couple of people that I'm quilting for because the brain fog has been bad. A year ago, I did this free bats and booze project, and I wanted it quilted for this Halloween. I have it fully finished. I've been stitching on the top and hand stitching the back for my bindings. I got it 100% done. I will show a picture at the end of what this looks like completely finished. Here's the bat. Fat Quarter Shop did this as a free pattern. This is my go-to swirl. I've been inspired that I don't need to custom quilt everything, and just doing my go-to swirl was very therapeutic and helping me remember how to long arm, because that's been another ton of fun on that. And then I did each little pumpkin with googly eyes. Then I just stitched around to kind of give some texture here. And the very center of this quilt, I wanted to show this on the table so you can see the stitches. And then you'll see the overall quilt finished. And I have this fun little bat and moon quilt block, patch. Little scrap here, the last of this fabric, and then it makes a great star in the center. This design is very, very clever and quite beautiful, and I may make it again because I love it so much. And I had a panel that was just the right size for the back that is part of the Dream Big series, and I thought this would be absolutely gorgeous. It's a fall color, purples, greens, and golds. And I thought perfect for the back. So you can see my stitching on the back. The long arm needs a little bit of framework because the frame seems to have a problem. And hopefully I can have my husband help fix it so I don't have to go buy a new frame this year. Because guess what? My refrigerator is not working. That's probably more priority. So anyway, that is my Flosstube, an update on everything I've been working on. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of the little things that I've been making. And I thought I'd close with an old project. And look at this little pumpkin that I made. So he had a buddy that I also made and decided to give him green eyes. So these are going to stay out until Thanksgiving because they're not too spooky Halloween, but they're going to be out with my fall display through Thanksgiving, and then I'll change it over to Christmas. So anyway, thank you for watching. I am having a little bit of some other long COVID things giving me some rash on my face, so I decided to do point of view, and I may be doing point of view stuff for quite some time. I even decided to let my nails breathe a little bit because they need to heal. Overall, things are going well for me, and I hope that you continue to enjoy making things, stitching, and have a most wonderful week. And I'll see you next time.